Hello everybody, I'm Brent Barstad with Tsys Merchant Solutions, and I wanted to answer the one question that you have about what I do, credit card processing. What's the one question I have, Steve?
How much does it cost?
How much does it cost? And I'm going to do this in less than 3 minutes because I've got a bunch of other stuff I want to talk about. But the one question everybody wants to know is, what's my rate? And the truth of the matter is, you can find 85% of what you are going to pay is completely uncontrollable. It is what it is. And it's called interchange. And interchange is posted on the Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express websites. It's public knowledge. If you want to get into the minutia, I'm happy to sit down with you and give you the 100-page summary of every single card out there. We can go through it. But bottom line is, the type of card that somebody gives you is going to determine it, and how you process the transaction, either swiped or hand keyed. So let's look in my wallet. And what's in my wallet? I've got a First National Bank debit card. Okay, okay, we got a fan. And this is considered a regulated bank. Regulated bank is a bank that's $17 billion in assets. The Durbin Act in 2010 basically made this card a very welcome card for a business that has a high ticket to process. It lowered the interchange cost from 95 basis points and a dime down to 5 basis points and 22 cents. So that's why if it's a high ticket item, that 22-cent per item charge for the interchange won't scare you away. It'll make you very happy because you're going to pay just ballpark figures. If you have 95 basis points, that's $9 per thousand that you will save by them breaking out this card. A smaller institution, which I just won their business, is Warren Federal Credit Union. That's any kind of small institution that is under 17 billion in assets. Theirs is going to be 85 basis points and a dime. So 5 and 22 cents or 85 and a dime. That's the wholesale cost you can't do anything about, called interchange. Next, Capital One, Journey Card. I get perks on this. Perks cards start anywhere from 1.6 to 1.9, depending on the perks, depending on the card that's presented. Once again, you can't control it. A regular corporate card, a regular credit card with no perks, 1.5%. Okay, and a dime. Corporate card. These things start at 2%. I've seen them as high as 2.95% and a dime. Once again, can't do anything about the cost. You just need to know that this is something you can't negotiate. It is a cost of doing business. If you want to take cards, know that. All right, and then let's take a look at my Pearl personal URL. My company set this up so I can market, and it's pretty much a one-stop shop.
What was that password again?
Yeah, exactly. I'll send you a link. But this website, basically, a couple things. When Perry came and talked about making sure that you've got a LinkedIn connection, that you put videos on your LinkedIn regarding testimonials, I took advice, put it on there, and we'll go through that in just a second. But this website that my company put together for me, basically, it's got fresh info that you want to know. Social media right now is a tool that people use to grow their business. And my company offers something called Tsys Merchant Insights to our clients that are using traditional accounts. Difference being, it's not a Square equivalent that has a flat rate. Anything that I'm going to negotiate pricing for you, that you have some kind of sophisticated need, and sometimes it's just you do enough volume that a traditional account makes more sense than the Square equivalent. and I'll meet one-on-one to figure out what that is. But for instance, on my little website here, we have some information about social media. We have some information about the Visa Symposium that talked about security and fraud prevention and cybercrime.
That sounds
and
really
right now,
exciting.
well, it is actually. PF Chang's, and who's received a new debit card recently from their bank? Anybody? Do you know why you received a new debit card? Target, breach. Where else? PF Chang's, breach. Michael's, breach. I mean, they're all over the place. And when these breaches happen, the card companies have to issue you a new card for security purposes. And there's a big cost that goes along with that. And the security cost to reissue those cards, PF Chang's is bumming. Target is bumming. They're losing all kinds of reputation due to these breaches. And PCI security is basically the jargon word to, do you have policies and procedures that protect cardholder data? And PF Chang's, for instance, they have a little tweet on here. The CEO confirmed that 33 locations nationwide actually had a breach. The rest of them weren't even touched. But when you go to have Chinese food, is that in the back of your head? You know, I went this weekend because my daughter loves that little raspberry sauce that goes with the chocolate dome, so they got our family hooked on that. But bottom line is, you know, there's some good stuff in here. And one of the things I'm going to go through is mobile. To circle back to LinkedIn, somebody who's going to look me up, they're going to find me on my website. There's a little link. Here it is. And this is what they'll see on here. And thank you, Perry, for the idea. And so this is who I am. I've got some guy on there. Who knows what that's about? He wants to talk to you about it. I've got another guy that recommends me. These are some of the people I do business with. I went to CU. I spend time giving back to Realities for Children, and so on. This is what they can find.
Why should we use Tsys?
Why should we use Tsys? One, it's about you, not about me. I sit down and I find out how I can help. Sometimes it's not about rates. Sometimes it's about making sure that you're getting paid in an efficient manner, making sure that you're cash flowing, that other businesses out there that are using other companies, their money's being held. Sometimes it's about helping them grow their business through a tool such as Tsys Merchant Insights that takes a look at their revenue, takes a look at their reputation through Yelp, takes a look at their social media posts through Facebook and Twitter. Also, it takes a look at their competitors in the neighborhood, and you can see what they're posting in the social media so you can respond. That's a tool that my company offers to help them grow their business. We pay a company $9.95 a month per client that have a traditional account to help them grow. They get me as their personal resource here in town. They get 24/7 customer care from award-winning customer care center, where we give back to the community, one of the top 50 most civic-minded companies in America, top 100 most ethical companies in the world. So the list is endless.
Let me just give a testimonial that he can't probably even say, but I just took Brent with me to a client in Loveland who's does about $2 to $3 million in revenue, and Brent got we got their statements, gave them to Brent. He did some analysis. He's going to save them around $8,000 a year in credit card processing costs. So I don't know what more you need to say from that, and the fact that Brent's a good guy.
Thanks.
Well, you use the word advocate on your LinkedIn presentation there, and I assume you're advocating for your customer.
I sit on their side of the table to help them negotiate the best pricing possible. I price guarantee our relationship for life, so I'm never going to lose a client over price.
Going to take some questions?
Fire away.
Just in terms of security, when I travel, like in the South Pacific or in Europe, they have chips. I just recently got a chip Chase card that had a chip on it.
It's called EMV. Does anybody in this room know what EMV stands for? Europay Visa MasterCard. It's actually, there's 1.5 billion cards issued with EMV worldwide. US is the last country actually to come on board with that type of security, and it's going to happen very soon. When you go, and I had another video which had a super cool little terminal demonstration, but bottom line is you put your card in, even at Dots they have one, it's an Ingenico ICT250, and that machine you put your card in, you have to punch in a 4-digit code like a PIN, and that way the card knows it's you. And so it's new security to outsmart the bad guys.
Just the same one you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, when is it going to go into effect?
That's a good question.
They haven't even given me an opinion.
Well, and 75% of the cards issued today are actually EMV capable. We just don't have merchants that have the applications that process that particular EMV chip. But it's coming. I'd say within the next year, but that's just the best guess. And if you look at my website and you click on payment trends, there's articles in there about EMV. There's articles in there about, what is EMV, about the trends, about when it's going to go in. So check out my website and you'll find it out.
Quick question. In my business, I have 3 or 4 requests for credit cards a month. I've always shied away from it. Is it cost effective, that small amount?
Do you lose the business if you don't take the card?
No.
Okay. Then for you, no. If you don't lose any business by not offering credit cards, you don't need to take them. But the reality is if you start taking them and you have the word on the street that you do take them, you may be bringing in business that you normally wouldn't. So another thing, if you have clients that you bill on a monthly basis, depending on what your business model is, there's reoccurring payment that make it easier for you, make it easier for your bookkeeper, so you can focus on the things that you do well. So there's a number of ways I can help you with efficiencies and effectiveness.
I know. As a business owner, if you start taking credit cards, what percentage average would you expect to pay?
Once again, that's the number one question that I answer, which is basically, if you're looking for, in your case, Paul, average transaction, I'm guessing $750 for paint job minimum, maybe $2,000 on the top end. Okay, you want a high ticket solution, and that's something I'll have to talk to you one-on-one about, because your answer is different than Jim's, which is different than Aaron's, which is different than
But
Steve's.
the range is like 3 to 6%, isn't it? It's like
the wholesale cost is what I told you, depending on the type of card they give you.
right.
The amount you actually pay the company to move the money from their card to your checking account that Kim sets up or Dave sets up, that's something that's negotiable. And that's something that I would sit on your side of the table to answer, to basically negotiate on your behalf. But I've seen rates in your industry as high as 6%. I've seen them as high as, on average, 2%. It just depends on how you're set up, how you're taking the card, whether or not you're educated to make sure you're taking advantage of interchange discounts. Do your clients pay you with debit cards? It's knowing how people are paying you. You may be able to restructure how you're taking payments to whittle down some of this expense.
But it kind of 6 is the top and 2 is the bottom.
No, I've seen ridiculous, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I've seen some people getting completely ripped off. Websites set up for payments, 15% to process transaction, but it was based on their business model. Medical marijuana, for instance. My company won't do it, but other companies will. They'll charge them 20% to do the processing, depending on the industry and the risk involved.
I was working with a company called Card Free, but they were working on loyalty programs, they used snap tags, and they were actually trying to make where you would actually pay for your restaurant thing or whatever with your phone. How close
Yeah,
is that?
that actually is, it's called near field communication, and it's real today. Google Wallet actually has that application, and some of the terminals, and that one at Dots Diner also has the capability to process near field communication, NFC. So it's here now, it's just not widely used.
What could be scarier than that?
It really isn't scary. That's the funny thing, Jim, is the fear is what we don't understand. And I don't understand how my smartphone can pay my bill. But there are so many areas of encryption that go behind making that work that, I mean, that's the whole point. It's actually a radio frequency and that creates that near field communication.
If I could ask you a question, you were talking about something, some service that your company does, and it was clear to me that they do it for your customers or for your company to look at a person's business's online reputation with Yelp and I presume other social media.
It's called Tsys Merchant Insights, and if I was able to link to
Is that
the,
something you make available to your customers?
to my customers, correct.
Got it. That's
But-
valuable.
It's, yeah, and I'd love to show you sometime. I've got a video that in a minute and 20 seconds, so I'll do it at another round
I go to
table.
your website.
Yeah, when I'm connected, and I'll just click on that, not say a word, and let that do my 1 minute. So, answer that later.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great,
Thank you
thanks,
very much.
Brent.